Hey guys, it is now April. um, so I realized my last video was back in February. So it's been a little while. But as you can see, I ditched the beard. That didn't last very long at all. I think I got rid of that maybe a few weeks after I made that video. Um, so yeah, beard's gone. Got a haircut too. I realized I was a little shaggy back then. But yeah, so for the past few months now, uh, I've been pretty busy. Okay, so as you can see, I've made a mess. But most importantly, I have a wheel. So I'm almost done with this wheel. I will probably be done by the time I post this video. But yeah, so I have a Sojourner wheel, complete with those band clamps I was always talking about in the previous video. I have one of the cleats attached right now. As you can see, this is not the original wheel I had, I think, in that video. Let me pan over here. I believe this was the original wheel in that video. It's made out of a lighter PLA, and it's painted with like just automotive spray paint. I've learned that this stuff scratches off really easily. So, I tried experimenting with a lot of different things, and this is actually airbrush with black primer, like a black clear or like a gloss black primer, and then put like aluminum over top of that. So I had to learn a lot in the past couple of months. Learn how to paint, learn how to use an airbrush, um, create my airbrush paint booth. so, I found an air purifier and figured out how to not ignite the fumes with the motor inside. Vented out this window behind my banner, and yeah, so I've been using this as a nice little spray booth for my nifty new little airbrush. So I learned how to airbrush, and yeah, we're going to be probably. I'll show you a little bit in the video here how I airbrush things like all of these cleats. so, uh, so I used sendcutsend.com. They are amazing. They cut all of these cleats out. Originally, I was doing them out of off my CNC machine, and it was taking me several hours to do one because I had to cut very slowly. These guys blasted out 100 of these in, like, I don't know, they shipped them in like just a few days, so it was amazing. Um, Also, you can see here is one of the center hubs using the new airbrush technique. This is one of my previous hubs, and then another previous hub. So I've been practicing. I've been changing a lot over the past couple months, and yeah, I've even changed filament. The filament that I have been using now is Boomat Elite Boomat 3D printer filament. It is about 10% aluminum, and it creates some really amazing parts. These are actually this is all the aluminum. Sorry, my lighting is not great, but this whole rim here is all the aluminum PLA, and it's got some weight to it. It has a little bit of heft, which I think will come in handy when I'm trying to get traction climbing over stuff. So I'm hoping. As for this, I've actually managed to program the steering for this. This actually took me about 2 weeks to figure out how to use this potentiometer as a way to figure out what angle the steering is at. There's a small 30 RPM gear motor inside this little fake motor, Sojourner has like a motor with like this giant gear reduction gearbox here. And nowadays I can accomplish pretty much the same thing with like a really tiny motor. So I'm using a little tiny motor inside there, using the potentiometer to figure out where it is steering wise. And then here I have a 16 RPM motor, which is almost the same size as the one that was in Sojourner. It's a little bit bigger, but I think it'll get the job done. So I took a few weeks, managed to figure out how to program it. Believe it or not, I'm not very good at programming, so it took me a little while to figure out how to get out of the while loop that I was in. I had a while loop that just would not update and would not exit. So it took me a while, but here we are. So we now have almost a completed wheel, and we will probably finish that in this video. And then we'll start probably on the next one. Also start cleaning these parts up, getting them sanded, painted. I also need to test the torque, because I honestly don't know if these plastic pieces can actually hold up to the torque. So we're gonna figure that out. All right, so I have all of the cleats set up here. They've been cleaned off with acetone. Try and get all the oils and stuff off from the manufacturing process. And I have the two lacquers that I spray on. So this is ultimately it's a gloss black base. I wanted a flat black, but I couldn't seem to find it anywhere locally, and I didn't want to wait for any to come in the mail. So ultimately I did some experimenting and found out that gloss black is just fine if I use the matte clear coat. So the trick is to get as many layers of this lacquer on there as possible, because these are going to be going over rocks and stuff, and I just want to try and have a kind of a thick layer of hard material, I guess, separating the paint from the metal. So I do anticipate a lot of scratching and stuff. This paint's going to come off, but I think right away it's just going to look nice. I'm going to take a lot of pictures before I send it outside and start driving around. But yeah, so that's where that's at. As for this silly paint booth that I made, being it's April in Minnesota, there's no guarantee that summer will be here anytime soon. I was planning on doing all this stuff outside, but we're looking at more snow, more snow coming, and it's almost like mid-April here. So I had to make this silly paint booth. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. Yeah, so I've done a lot of experimenting. I've already painted a lot, and I think I have the technique down. So let's begin. And while I let that paint dry, I'm going to open up these holes a little bit more to allow for a somewhat looser fit for the rivets. And now that the paint is dry on the cleats, it's time to show you how I install the rivets. So I have a punch tool and then the handle of a center punch that I'm using on the back side. So I have to try very hard not to scratch the paint or dent the part. It's a lot of hitting, checking, turning around, hit it, check it. It's a bit of a process. And so there are 17 cleats, so that's 34 of these that I have to do on each wheel. And now, after a whole bunch of hammering like that, trying very hard not to scratch the paint or dent the plastic or anything, I give you the culmination of 4 months of designing and planning and gathering tools and paint and a paint bed, or a paint booth. But here it is. Finally, I have a Sojourner wheel, complete with 17 cleats and the band clamp that I've been working on the last video. It's done. So this is it. I'm really excited. This actually turned out really well. It has some weight to it because it's made out of aluminum filled PLA. So it has some heft to it, plus the stainless steel cleats. So yeah, this is it. Only 5 more to go. Okay, bye.